Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Something very new for me. I've never done longer form videos and I've never really uploaded much to YouTube, so hope you like this. I'm making a couple of videos about my trip to California, and this one is all about the first part of the trip where I went to San Francisco completely by myself. I wanted to meet some people, explore the country, and have a good time. I didn't really have many plans, and this is the first day where I was recording video, so this is quite early in the morning. I'd just gotten up, I was about to go riding up Highway 1, so obviously the first thing I had to do was get petrol, or gasoline, whatever they call it. Now, it's very confusing in the US, especially the first time I filled up, because in the UK we use green to mean petrol and black to mean diesel. In the US, black means petrol and green means diesel, so the first time I filled up, I actually had to go and ask someone if black was definitely petrol, because I did not want to be putting diesel in somebody else's bike that I was renting. The other really difficult part was actually paying. That was super confusing because you pay before you fill up, unlike afterwards, and a lot of the time it would ask me for my zip code, which obviously I don't have. I have a postcode, and it would just straight up deny me. So after a few days, I just went straight in and asked the person to put $20 in the bike, and usually that was plenty of petrol, and they refunded whatever you didn't use. So that was quite easy. Took me a little while to get used to though. Once I'd filled up with petrol, it was time to head north. Now, I was starting from San Francisco, so going north meant going over the Golden Gate Bridge. What you see here is the first time I'd ridden over it. I'd been wanting to do this for years and years and years, so I was super excited. I'd heard about tolls, I'd seen some signs about tolls, I didn't really know how to read them or anything, and I still haven't heard from the guy I was renting the bike from, so I'm assuming I didn't need to pay, or maybe he just paid, or something like that, so I'm sorry if you're watching this. I hope you didn't have to pay a toll for me. Now, riding over the bridge was amazing. The views to the west and the east were both just gorgeous. One way you could see out to sea, one way you could see into the bay, and it was just all super exciting. I was heading to the viewing point as my first stop. It's kind of in those hills you can see over to the left, and it has a really nice view of the whole bridge and like the city and all sorts, and it's lovely. We'll be there in a minute. So now we're riding along the hill you could see from the bridge earlier. The view to the right was into this little bay with trees and forests and stuff, and just around this corner we can see the bridge and the first of the two viewpoints I was heading towards. I do only have footage of the first viewpoint, but they were both spectacular, so this one's more than good enough. It's actually where I got my current profile picture from. After the Golden Gate Bridge, I headed to Muir Woods, which is one of the Redwood Forests in Northern California, and I think I read somewhere that it has the biggest tree, or one of the biggest trees, which I was really looking forward to seeing. Now, I'd been recommended this by someone I'd spoken to before, and just set the destination in my sat-nav and went for it. Now, I didn't quite anticipate how twisty the roads would be. This wasn't a problem. I do like the twisties, but I hadn't been in America for very long. I hadn't ridden this bike for very long, so being on that side of the road took a little bit of getting used to, so I was quite tentative here. One of the other things I found with roads like this is that when you're stuck behind a car, it can get quite slow, and you can be stuck behind them for quite a long time. There's not really anywhere to overtake. Now, some of them had little passing spots, and it was quite nice to find that the Californians actually pull over and let bikes past, which is a bit of a change because in England people don't tend to do that very often. They'll move out the way so you can overtake. They won't, full on pull over and stop. So that's really nice. Another thing I found was that when you get into the forest, it smells amazing, which sounds super strange, but I always say that when you're in a car, it's like you're watching TV, and when you're on a bike, it's like you're actually there. And these forests smelled amazing, I think because they're super old, and there's lots of trees, there's lots of nature, there's something about it that your brain likes. It was a bit naive of me because on this trip I was winging everything. I assumed that I would just be able to turn up, maybe grab a coffee, go for a little walk in the woods, and then get back on my bike and carry on riding. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Turns out you have to book in advance, and I hadn't booked in advance, so I got turned away.
Reservations?
I don't, I'm just coming to have a look.
Okay, so you need to have a reservation to park your motorcycle here. Are you just gonna drive through, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you follow this road down, it'll take you back to Highway 1.
Okay, great, yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
After that, I basically just continued up Highway 1. I'd been told that I can go as far up the highway as I want to until I got bored, so that was my plan. A lot of the rest of the trip was along the coast. I could go around corners and you'd see waves rolling in, you'd see beaches, you'd see bays. It was just endless. It was amazing. I spent a lot of time distracted by the views and maybe not paying as much attention to the road as I should do, but nothing went wrong. It was all fine. When I wasn't having beautiful beach views, I'd be going through maybe just a tourist viewpoint, but what I saw is very quaint and perhaps stereotypically American villages or towns, I guess. They were very different to San Francisco, where I'd been staying so far, and I actually stopped in one of them a bit later on for some food, and it was basically what I thought would be a normal sized sandwich. It was a very, very large sandwich. I'll post a picture of that in a minute. One of the other things I noticed about California is that there's a lot of Teslas. Now, London isn't exactly short of them, but San Francisco is a whole nother level. It's like every other car is a Tesla, I swear. It's insane. So I'm used to getting held up by cyclists. What I'm not used to getting held up by is an RV. This is the first one I've seen, and if you look closely, you'll see that it's actually pulling a truck, which is just crazy to me. I'm quite impressed they managed to keep it mostly on the road. There were a few times it kind of went over the edge slightly, but generally it was fine. Very impressive. I actually made some friends while I was over there who were looking at buying an RV, and it was quite cool to talk to them about that. It's never really anything I'd considered, because obviously over here they are a little bit too big for our roads, and yeah, I just thought it would be cool to show this. I'd been riding north for quite a long time at this point. I'd already stopped for lunch. It was kind of reaching the afternoon, so I decided I was gonna call it the end of the day, for heading north at least. So I stopped at this little village place called Jenna. It was just like a few houses and a petrol station and a cafe right by the side of, I think it was like a tidal fed inland lake type thing. Stopped there for a coffee. It was really, really good coffee. They let me charge my camera. I caught up on some interneting, I guess. With the time zone change, I'd actually been waking up at about 4 in the morning as well, so I definitely needed a rest. Once I'd stopped here, I started heading east into Santa Rosa, which was a lot warmer than it was here, and I was wearing rucker, so I basically melted. I went from Santa Rosa and I started heading south again. There isn't very much interesting to show there. It's basically just highway the entire way. After a day of probably a few hundred miles, it was time to go over the Golden Gate Bridge again. I was quite tired at this point. It had been a very long day, so I was quite looking forward to putting the bike on its stand and going for a bit of a walk and maybe a more relaxing evening. I ended up going to a bar to meet some people, had something to eat. It was really nice, and I had to be up early the next day to go on a group ride. I really didn't have very much sleep, but yeah, we'll go on to that bit next. After my solo ride on the Friday, I had a group ride on the Saturday, and I didn't know any of these people beforehand. It was mostly just a case of me being like, hi, I have no friends, can I hang out with you? And they were lovely. Everyone was super friendly. They showed me this ride across or over Highway 9, which goes through the Santa Cruz Mountains, and there was plenty of mountain views, lots of forest. It was really nice. We had a cop following us, which later became a bit of a problem, as you're about to see. We were heading up Highway 1, having a bit of a blast. It was really good fun. Maybe we got a little bit too excited because we went right past this cop who was hiding like behind a bank. We couldn't see him, which led to probably the nicest encounter with a policeman I've ever had at the side of the road, as you're about to see.
I'm not writing tickets, just please slow down, guys. None of the lane changing, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Sorry.
You got it?
Yeah, got it.
All right? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just drive safe.
Will do.
No changing lanes and all that. Good? Thanks, guys.
So after that, we headed up to Alice's, which was basically like Northern California's Ace Cafe, pretty much. It was really nice. I had an apple pie, and one of the guys I was riding with bought me this hat, which was really cool. I don't actually have any footage of the next day, but I met some other people for a ride on the Sunday, and this was my last day of the bike, and I had an absolutely amazing time riding around some of the mountains. We went to an observatory, and yeah, everybody I met on this trip was absolutely fantastic, and I would love to see you all again sometime, so hopefully I'll be heading back to San Francisco sometime at the end of the summer. That's it for now. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave any feedback you might have in the comments and like and share if you do like it. If I get enough positive feedback, I'm going to be making a part 2, which is where I was riding a Panigale V4 around LA and the coast along there. So that's super fun. But yeah, hope I'll see you all next time.